6 o'clock.
Not yet. Yes, Patrick. All right.
Okay.
This meeting, Ocean Highway and Port Authority together for Wednesday, May 25th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the invocation and pledge. Bow your heads, please. Merciful Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the ability to be together this evening. We ask your guidance and direction for everything that we do, that all that we do will be acceptable to you and to the benefit of our citizens. Father, now we ask a special blessing on those families in Texas that have suffered losses of their children for this terrible incident that happened at the school. We ask you to be with them, give them strength and courage to go through the coming months and years without their children, and protect everyone else in that situation. And Father, we ask special blessing on our military men and women for this coming up this Memorial Day. We ask everyone to remember the men and women that sacrifice their lives. And that's the reason we celebrate Memorial Day. It's not for cookouts, it's for celebration of our wounded, our military men and women that gave the last measure. All these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Commissioner Franklin.
Here.
Vice Chairman Cole.
Here.
Chairman Fullwood.
Present.
Commissioner Hammond is absent, and so is Mr. Laporte and Mr. Ragucci.
Is he going to be here?
He did not.
Okay,
So
I hadn't heard. All right. Audience comments, we didn't have any?
no.
All right. Board Attorney report, Patrick, do you have anything you want to talk about?
I know I was not here last month or last regular meeting. Continuing on with sort of our normal course of action on many fronts. Our answer in the Hickox case will be due next month. I think really everything else is on the agenda. I'm trying to think if there's any specific issues. We all are aware of, we still have 2 ongoing litigation matters. Real action items on those. We have been obviously working on the contract, which is on the agenda, and some other items. So if there's any specific questions, I don't want to just ramble on. I'm happy to address anything we've been working on, but most of it I think is on the agenda and other items.
Anyone got any questions for Patrick? All right, we'll move on. Pierre is not here. If anyone has any questions for him, I'm sure he's listening. And I told him to be ready by phone if we had anything. So. Port operator is not here, and we've got several items that we're going to discuss. I'd like to discuss with him, but he's not here. So, all right, so let's go to unfinished business. The main thing on the agenda that I want to talk about is the executive director contract approval. All of you were sent the contract that we put together. I hope you've had time to look at it. I don't know, Patrick, if you've got any response to feedback from anybody about it up to this point. I know we talked and looked at it. I'm happy with it, but I need to know if everybody else is. Yes, and you want to say something?
Just one minor change in section 6, which is the termination. We're going to propose to alter the last sentence so that it's basically capped at 16 weeks of compensation if there is termination by OHPA without cause. That's more consistent with language in Florida statutes. So we'll cap that at 16 weeks, and I can discuss that with David afterwards. Talked with him briefly before the meeting, but we can iron that out.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other items on this contract?
It says without cause. I mean, is that without cause that he agrees on, or without cause that, I mean, when you get rid of somebody, you always got a cause, you got a reason.
It's defined. It says termination for cause shall mean termination due to employee's personal dishonesty, incompetence, willful misconduct, gross negligence, any breach of fiduciary duty, intentional failure to perform stated duties, willful violation of any law, rule, or regulation, unsigned traffic violation, or similar offenses, or material breach of any provision of this agreement.
Yeah.
Essentially what it means is if you terminate for cause, you don't have to pay out additional compensation. If you decide for whatever non-cause reason, whether you don't want the position anymore, whatever it is, the employee will be provided no more than 16 weeks of compensation. And that's, it's not in lockstep with Florida law. There's a provision in Florida law that says you can also have a contract, which is what we have here, but it's more in line with what the statute provides. So a little protection for the employee.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, when I first read it, I looked at the term and I thought, why are we doing 16 months? But it makes sense to align it with our year where we're doing all the other contract reviews. So I like that.
Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this.
Approve the contract. Approve the contract. Do I need a second?
I second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the contract with David Kaufman. Any further discussion?
So the one thing I wanted to add to that, just as discussion, I think it would be good because of the timing of our contract review to have to go through the process of doing a performance review this fall, which would be, in a few months, but it would be at least 90 days, right? And so it would be a good opportunity, even though it wouldn't be a contingent renewal, because we know we have 16 months, but we would just know what's in that process. We've done it before with, we've talked about this with Rosanna.
Yeah.
That way we don't wait, more than a year to go through that process.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Got one. David, you are comfortable with it? Yes, sir. Everything's good. Okay, thank you.
All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries unanimous. David,
Sir,
welcome.
thank you. Get well and get to work.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you for your confidence and support, and I look forward to hitting the ground running and getting to work.
I want to say you had rough and rugged road to travel.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Trust me.
I know. Good deal. Let's move on here. All right. I thought we were going to be able to approve the tariff tonight, but it wasn't sent to us until about 10 minutes ago. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not even going to look at it. I think what I'll do now that we have David on board, David, if you don't mind, I'll sit down with you and we'll go over this, redline it, send it out to commissioners, and by next meeting, I think we can approve the tariff. All right, security services RFP approval. All of you have seen the RFP for the security. I know we've got a few people that are interested, few companies that are interested, at least two. So I would like to get an approval on this, get it sent out so we can do a new contract with security. Any comments, Patrick?
The only comment I have is I need to know, the turnaround time. We left the dates blank, so if you all can just let me know how long you want the RFP to be out, and then that kind of thing, I can backfill it.
What is the time limit usually?
You all have done a number of different, there's no.
Yeah,
I
there's no
would,
specific time that we have to do it.
right, I would recommend at least 30 days. So if we get this approved tonight, and Rosanna can get it put out before the end of the week, then I would suggest, that the last, let's see,
That will be 29th of June,
yeah, so either, maybe before the 4th of July.
22nd of June.
30 days. Yeah, if we can do, no, I would suggest no later than the 24th.
Well, that's after our meeting.
After what we did.
So I will have a second meeting in June. How about 17th? Friday? So it gives us a chance.
That's 3 weeks.
4 weeks.
We could have it.
Let's do it on a regular meeting in July.
Yeah, if we got it teed up for the regular.
A regular July, meeting.
We can do that.
So if we make the deadline the 24th.
All right, 24th, deadline, Rosanna, the 24th. And then we'll have it on the agenda for Thursday. Yeah.
Can you
for
remind me
the-
the date of the last security contract? How old it is?
Oh, it's.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
all,
recall.
Because I know we looked at the contract at one point.
I have it. I don't
and
have
it was a
the date.
recurring contract.
It's
It's when Kenner Morgan was
over
here, I
8 years
think.
old.
Yeah, at least, I would say. Yeah, probably more than that. All right, that's the date set, and we'll approve it at the second meeting in July.
So the first meeting in July.
I'm sorry, yeah, the first meeting. 13th. We get that on the agenda, right now. And as soon as we get the bids, send them out. That's what we need to do, send them out, yeah, send them out to everybody.
Yeah, I'll fix all that language.
Okay, good. All right, any other questions about security? All right, this is the day we're selecting the winning bidder of the fabric warehouse. Chris, how many bidders did we have?
I'm not sure, Rosanna. I thought only one.
We had one coast to coast, but I thought Big Top was another one.
No, it's actually the same.
Oh, same.
Coast to
So,
coast is the installer for Big Top. So we had asked that it be bid as a supply and a rep in one contract. And that's the way it did. If you look at coastal, within his bid is the Big Top piece.
how about Rube? Or
Rub?
UBB?
No,
Rub?
I didn't see anything from Rob, but you had opened the, Rob would probably have submitted something without direction.
Okay. So just the one.
Okay, and what was the bid?
So this was 138, I think.
Back 355.
What was our last one?
Well, you really can't compare.
No,
This
this is the
is
double.
two structures that together comprise 50,000.
What was our
square feet.
last
The other one was 15,000 square feet.
How much?
About $35 a foot. I don't recall the full the exact price. I can.
57,000.
Yeah, it was in the 500,000,
Okay.
somewhere between 500 and 600.
Right, I thought it was less, so that's.
What's the amount of the grant we have?
Well, we have a total of 1.5. We have 750 in grants, and we have to match another 750. It's 50/50 basis.
Right. Okay, so it came in under the grant. Okay. All right, need a motion to approve the bid.
Motion to approve the bid.
Here's a second. Discussion.
Did you get a second?
No.
You said no discussion.
No, I said, and with discussion, we'll discuss it when I get the second. All right, got a motion and a second to accept the bid for the fabric warehouse. Any discussion?
So I have not been in favor of this project because I would just like to see the use case for the warehouse. And we don't have any information about our warehousing fees and rates or our current utilization of our warehouses at this board level. I know that that information might be available to Mr. Reducci, but it's not available to us. And so it's hard for me to make a decision about whether or not we can validate taking such a large portion of our surface area of the port and devoting it to break bulk storage specifically for this type of break bulk, which it's not, building a tent, a temporary structure for this specific purpose. Who are the clients? What's the pipeline? And it wouldn't have to be very specific, but just some type of, use case for it. As opposed to just taking his word for it. Now we have a director who would be doing that for us.
Oh, sorry.
The car's out of order, don't worry.
Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry.
So now that we have a director who would do that for us, that's the type of thing I would expect to see when we approve using a public grant. I mean, what's the point of us voting on it unless we have information to base that vote on?
Well, what we're doing is approving the bid. We're not approving the contract tonight.
No, we're making an award.
We're approving the bid if we do the warehouse, and there's not a contract yet for the warehouse. And that has to come back to us for approval.
Our vote says that this meets the requirements of what we put out to bid. I wasn't in favor of putting a bid out in the first place. This may meet the requirements that we put out, and that's great. And if you want to support this project, then vote in favor of it, but I don't think we should award it. Because I don't think we validated that we need to make this investment and go in this direction in the long term.
We need more warehouse space, for lumber and plywood and stuff. And we can, the great, if we have to store containers in there, it's big enough that you could even put containers in. You put one in. But and the place that is put it in is really a dead spot. But I mean, we use it on overflow, am I right, Chris? Or-
Look, I think in order to maintain proper perspective, we have been having conversations with the board on this project for 6 months. My understanding was we've already had the board's majority vote to move forward with the project. The business case was made, and you guys gave a green light, you fellows and ladies gave a green light as a majority to move forward and seek bids. I'm always happy to explain the business case again, but tonight, as you pointed out, Mr. Chairman, I didn't think we're still questioning the business case. It's a temporary structure, which means that at some point, which OHPA will own, it is removable, storable, in our port or somewhere else. It can be sold. There is a market for these buildings to be sold if business changes and it no longer is needed. But it's been clear to us in the 4.5 years we're operating that break bulk is the way it's going. And our business is growing on the break bulk side. So this building has the flexibility to store any one of our forest products. Craft linerboard, wood pulp, lumber, plywood, you name it. You couldn't get more flexibility than that. And it's positioned in a place where it still leaves open container yard for commodities that can be stored outside, which have not been forthcoming. Things like steel. We're still always chasing steel. We're always chasing containers, but the big slug of containers hasn't come yet. And we would still have outdoor space for containers. It really is an excellent interim solution for the continued growth of the port. And there is a commitment for at least one of the customers, specifically, Packline, the plywood company from Indonesia, or from Singapore, pardon me, that has said, if we have a 2-year contract with you, but contingent upon at some point within the first year of the contract, we deliver this additional space. Because we don't have enough space for Packline as it stands right now. It's catch as catch can, and we have to move everything to off-site warehouses, where even their capacity is constrained, but the additional cost of moving the cargo is not something that Packline wants to pay on a long-term basis. They pick Fernandina because they want storage right at the port, which is the most efficient way to do it.
You still have the other tent up?
No, the tent, breaking news, the tent was removed, although we had the ability to keep it for 3 to 6 months under that temporary structure permit. It's been removed and it's completely gone. As of yesterday, late in the evening.
You expect them in plywood soon?
Yeah, Packline has a ship on June 20th. And quite honestly, they're a little disappointed that, we haven't made further progress, but we're doing it as quickly as we can with your assistance.
Temporary tent in the rest.
That was to finish the Lucky Hom. Yes, that was a wedding.
Not the fabric warehouse, the tent that was on this spot.
One spot.
Do we have a contract yet?
Well, within the period short form, but I think I would recommend, I would ask that the board give you the authority to sign the contract, but subject to review by Patrick. And I think we have the ability to negotiate a little bit with the vendor now that they've been selected. So I think between now and the next meeting, we can have a formal contract.
What I'm concerned is the language in the contract and what happens in, what is the warranty, would be the warranty on the warehouse?
The warehouse is warranted for 20 years.
All right, and exactly what does that mean? If it gets a rip in it due to negligence or due to somebody running into the side of it?
Well, if it's a rip that can be repaired, it will be repaired. If you have to replace a section of the skin, it will be replaced.
And who pays for that cost?
Well, like any of the infrastructure that we have the ability to operate and maintain under the operating agreement, the burden on it would be on the operator to maintain it, repair it, keep it in good order.
All right, I'm all, well, we need to accept this bid, first of all.
What are the permitting and impact fees on $1.3 million project?
I have no clue.
So these are the exclusions: permitting, impact fees, design fees of any kind, abatement or testing, geotechnical testing, underground utility locates, or any after work
That's
hours.
standard language in a bid contract, and
So who's going to bear those costs?
the operator has to.
Are you taking those costs on?
Most of those costs, as Chairman Ford said, those are standard language. There's no utilities. We checked that.
Right.
These folks have visited the site. They've determined the foundation design. You might recall that it's a few months ago, so you might not. We submitted 200 pages of approved design drawings and specifications signed by a state of Florida professional engineer on this building. This company was willing to do the design up front to show OHPA that it's a really solid.
And we don't pay impact fees.
So are those design documents provided to us?
They
no
were already
cost now?
provided to you, but I'm happy to provide them.
Is there gonna be a bill?
No, it's included in the
Well, it
price.
just says that it's not included
Well,
here.
what
so that's
exactly
why-
does it say? I don't have. it in
It just
front of
says design fees of any kind are excluded.
me. Yeah, beyond what's already in the bid. If you look through it, the
Okay.
design's already.
I'm
done.
just asking.
No, it's not done.
I think we should, I mean, at least be clear on who pays the permitting and impact fees.
Well,
And we also
we can do
discussed,
that in the contract, and Patrick will drop the contract with David's help and my help, and if anybody else that wants to input.
so once we award this, do we have the liberty of not contracting with them?
I think it depends on what the language of the motion is. If the motion is to approve this bid and accept it, you know, obviously my recommendation would be you memorialize that in a full contract. This is just a bid. So my recommendation would be, based on this bid, you move forward with finalizing a contract.
Right.
And any contract's gonna have to come back before this board for approval. So
Unless,
I mean, that no one else has the authority to sign a contract to bind OPA, but this board. So if the motion is to approve this bid for purposes of negotiating a final contract for the project, then we can put, you know, with David's help, we can put everything in a contract and get it, nailed out.
such a motion.
I'll change my motion if I need to say what this says.
So the-
Specify.
And your second.
I do have one question. David, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but are you not, that you approve 100% of this, but are you comfortable with this?
I think there's a bit of work to do, but it's in the contract process.
Yeah.
So,
Comfortable.
at this point.
Any other discussion?
So I just want to be clear that I'm voting no, because I do not think we validated the use of this warehouse. We don't have a fee sharing agreement for warehousing. That's not even, so we talked about it at the last meeting, and we haven't done that, and so that's why I'm voting. But if they're
Sharing, I mean,
Well, actually, we got consensus on that at the last meeting, but if we discussed that we didn't have a fee sharing agreement for warehousing, that it wasn't included in the operating agreement.
Right.
And that revenues are being collected for warehousing, and
we'd have to change the operating agreement to get a fee sharing for the
we
warehouse.
could have a separate agreement. I think you directed Patrick to write something up, is the word you used.
I'll have to check my notes.
Yeah,
From last meeting.
I just don't remember that. The fee sharing for warehouse.
Well, we explained at the time that there is no independent revenue based on warehousing. All of the warehousing at the port is based on stevedoring in or out, and to store cargo that's either being received to be loaded on a ship or being received or unloaded from a ship to be received and then delivered out by rail and truck. The fees are in the stevedoring. It's just part of the whole stevedoring process.
It's like putting it under the tent as opposed to putting it out in the open. The same fees exist, and you're not charging extra to use the tent for it.
That's right. Any of the stevedoring agreements require discharge of vessel to covered warehouse space or indoor warehouse space. Same thing when you're receiving KLB from the mills, it has to stay indoors. There's a few grades of it. You'll see a few rolls of it outdoors, but most of it has to stay indoors. So it's part and parcel of the stevedoring and port operations. We don't rent any warehouse space to any individuals, and nobody pays us any fees for just the ability to store something in any of those warehouses. They have to come from a ship or be going to a ship.
So what was the significance of the 30 days that you mentioned previously?
What 30 days?
You said 30 days were included, but if it's beyond that, then there's a charge.
Yeah, and the concept of discharging ocean cargo, there's something called free time. So it has to be discharged to indoor space, but the same people that are shipping it from the ship, they're obligated to move it out of the port in 30 days because they get essentially free storage. The space is already paid for in the stevedoring and the discharge. However, if they're laggards and they don't move it out quickly, after 30 days, you can start to charge them additional or storage charges per se, in addition to the, but the cargo is still in there related to the use of the port.
So
we're
what's
not
the,
aware.
what is the rate if it stays for longer than 30 days?
Well, it's in the tariff. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's part of, you're gonna see we made some adjustments. It's it's cents per pallet, so many cents per pallet per month. It's not big money, but it's enough to encourage them
Tariff.
to move.
The new one? The new tariff?
I haven't seen the new
Well,
tariff.
you'll
but the
you'll
old
be
one,
surprised to see that you have an email that came in.
I know, it's a little late.
I know, but at least we have a working document now. And we can
Well,
finalize it.
It's one we haven't approved yet, and
No, of course not.
we'll approve it next meeting. I said that before you got here, because we want to look over it. Dave and I are going to go over it, make sure
I would
everything's in
encourage
there.
everyone. Like to have
Absolutely. And
input.
then we'll put it out on the
Comments.
board and then approve it next week. Yes, gotta deal with this motion. All right, any other discussion?
I just want to, for the record, clarify the motion and the second that's on the floor is to accept this bid and use it to proceed with finalizing a contract that will then come back before this board for final approval.
Correct.
Okay, right.
All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries. All right. All right, the next thing on the agenda is our new meeting space approval. We don't really need approval. Found us a meeting space, but I want to draw your attention to a letter we received from the county manager. And I completely understand it, but it's something we're going to have to deal with eventually. So it's in coordination with the excuse me, supervisor of elections, it has been determined necessary that the Board of County Commissioners implement additional security procedures as of June 1st, 2020. As of June 1st, the James Page Governmental Complex, including these chambers, will be locked and armed as of 5:30 p.m. each day. Usage of the Board of County Commission chambers after June 1st, 2020 will require the presence of a Nassau County Sheriff's Office bailiff and Nassau County facility staff to ensure the building is locked and security system armed. The cost of these services will be the responsibility of the Ocean Highway and Port Authority. In order to continue to use the commission chambers, the Board of County Commissioners and the Ocean Highway and Port Authority will need to execute an interlocal agreement to memorialize conditions and responsibilities. And we're to contact Amy Bell. Patrick has to contact Amy Bell, and we'll put an interlocal agreement together. In the event an interlocal agreement is reached by both parties, commission chambers will be unavailable for use by any board or entity from July 12th, 2020 to July 26th, August 8th, September 13th, September 27th, November 9th, because they're being used by the, we've already discussed this, by the supervisor of elections. I asked yes, hold on just a minute. I asked Taco to get me a price what this would cost us, and he sent me a note. Says I've requested the following: the cost per meeting, hourly rate for the sheriff's office, facility staff, cost per meeting, the hourly rate from Public Works. And then some other things I asked him to check on, but those are the things we need to talk about. And before we do that, I'm sure once I get the cost and bring it to you, we can talk about it. I'm not so much worried about it right now because starting next month, first June meeting, we're going to be meeting in the FSCJ building. We have a space there that was graciously has been graciously given to us by Donna Martin, who is the director out there. She has waived the fees that they normally charge. However, there is a fee that we're gonna have to pay for setup and cleaning after the meetings, after each meeting. The fee for each meeting is $20. And, you know, if she hadn't waived the fees, we probably couldn't afford to do this, but she did because we're a political body. So 20 meetings or 10 meetings we'll have from June to November. Will cost us $200 for the entire time. I think it's a good place. I've been out there and looked at it. It's large enough to hold everybody, and we've had meetings there in the past. Economic Development Board has, and they will set up the meeting space. They will give us a table and a podium and a screen if we need it. And Rosanna will be able to work with them to get things put up and do what she's doing tonight. So that will be our next meeting space for the next few months because we cannot any longer meet in here. It's going to be a little more of a burden for us that live on the island, but for the other guys that live off the island and Patrick, it'll be a better place to meet. Yeah, so I'm sure they love it. Any questions about that?
Yeah, several times you mentioned the date 2020. 2020 or 2022?
Did I say 2022? 2022.
That's the reason I stopped doing it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I've got 2020 in my head, but it's 2022, yes, this year. You're right, and I have a special day in 2020, I remember. Okay, so I'm sure that the $200 will not, and she will bill us monthly, which is $40 a month. I think we can handle that. If y'all don't agree to pay that, I'll pay it out of my pocket. But it's a good meeting space. And if for some reason we don't like it or can't deal with it, then we'll look for something else. But I think it's a great place, and that's where we're going to be from here on.
So what is the audiovisual situation? Do we have mics?
I don't think you got microphones, but I don't think you need one in that room. You can hear everybody pretty clear.
You can run 4 of them.
The ceiling's not quite as high as it is here. The room's not as wide.
David Ewing room.
Yes, the David Ewing room out there. I think you've probably been in there.
So will we still be able to, will you still be able to do everything you do audio visually?
I just need Wi-Fi.
And they have Wi-Fi, and she said that's available to you.
Now, do they
Has a
have,
drop down screen and it has a projector. So
Yeah.
okay,
So we'll be using
I
the
will.
screen.
We will still be able to broadcast, so.
right.
Okay,
Chairman Fuller, you mentioned June 8th, but I have down starting July 13th that we won't be able to use VOCC.
now the list you gave me included June. The meeting dates that you sent me had June 8th and June 22nd on there, so we cannot use this building.
Okay,
I'll double check on that, but according to the letter that he sent, it is July. Now it says after June 1st. As of June 1st, so I think we need to go ahead and go.
okay, because I just need to mark that on the website.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll check on it tomorrow and let you know for sure. But I think it's going to be where it is. All right, next thing on the agenda is the Florida Ports Council meeting in Tallahassee. Mike was gonna go to that, Commissioner Cole was gonna go, but since we have a new executive director, I think David would be the one that needs to go to that. You okay with that, David?
Are you available?
You got it already? All right, very good. All right, that takes care of that. All right, we have a master plan stakeholders meeting. Again, I'll mention this on June the 8th. All right. I'll report back to you after that meeting. It's actually the same date as our meeting in June.
Are you attending that meeting?
Yes.
You are, okay. All right.
All right, new business.
Who else is attending?
The stakeholders,
That we,
the list we recommended.
Okay, I don't have the list in front of me.
Yeah, I don't either.
not specifically.
And they sent invitations out to everybody to attend that meeting, and I don't know what kind of response they've gotten back yet. We'll just have to, some people may not be able to go, you know how it is.
David, do you know how many people are coming?
The
11.
the invitation just went out like yesterday, the day before, so if we've gotten any response. I have a list.
I think there was 11 people on the list.
And so it includes, I think we had like the chamber and we had someone from West Rock.
So the list includes Sherry Mitchell from the EDC, Jack, Jack's last name is, I think he's a little.
Jack
Mr. Martin from Nassau County, Jim Martin,
John Martin.
Len Krieger, Vice Mayor,
City, yeah.
Eric Schmidt, I think he's from the Florida Mills.
Yes, Mill.
That's right. Tammy Cossack from the community, historic council, Victoria Robus. Not sure who this is, it's a GRESS 123 at Lynch Street.
Charlie Crafton.
Charlie Gressman.
Okay. And then a SV Lycan.
Scott Blinken.
And then Commissioner Fullwood and Chris.
Roseanne, are you noticing these?
I'm sorry.
Are you noticing these meetings?
No, you don't have to.
Should I?
Yes.
Okay.
Only one
We're
commissioner.
not, no, I'm not.
I'm the only commissioner.
They're open to the public.
No, they're not.
Or not.
No,
It shouldn't be.
not the stakeholders meeting. Not open to the public. So we don't have to notice it because only one commissioner goes. Okay? Any other questions about that?
The purpose of the meeting is just to get input from these individuals on the planning process, but is RSNH presenting anything or?
This is the first, I think, 3 that we've got scheduled with this group. So it's really an introductory, give an overview of what we're trying to do with the master plan and begin to collect from them issues, concerns that we need to focus on or address in the plan.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, the last thing on the agenda is the CBP letter that we received from them, actually from Tammy Gibbons, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. She wrote a letter about the Customs House and the facility and the requirements and need for Port Authority to provide CBP with proper facilities that meet current CBP standards. Patrick, you want to comment on this? Please.
I don't know what you want me to comment on. I mean, there's a lot of information
Yes,
here.
and a lot of cost.
Yeah. This is, it appears this is the federal government saying this is what we need.
They've told us before what we needed, but it seems like they're pushing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Chris?
Yeah, first of all, I was shocked to see this. It came out of the blue. This is specifically cabling and IT infrastructure upgrade. Arrangement for them to stay in the house till, I believe, 2024, and that we have to work on finding new conforming space for that. But this is something that I had never heard anything about.
And I don't think it's in the contract we have with them. I haven't.
That's a good point. You
I
should
tried to
look
pull it up, but I
Yeah.
couldn't. Maybe Rosanna, you've got the contract.
that's something that Patrick could look at, but I called the board director, Steve Barrett, and he didn't really have any explanation as to why, except that periodically they have to upgrade their IT. I asked if he could be present tonight, and he was having a procedure today, but I would suggest we invite him to the June 8th meeting. And let, maybe even meet with him beforehand, but let him come and see if we can find a way. And I would like, obviously, Dave's input now that he's on board. That, how can we, on an interim basis, try to accommodate their needs within reason? But, when you get these letters from their headquarters, these people just expect you to, drop everything in March too, and they just don't understand our particular unique situation.
Well, Ms. Gibbons always contacts us about every month anyway,
Just in touch base, right?
asking
How's the new building going?
and what our plans are. And we tell her the same thing every time. We're doing what we can. Right now, we can't build a new building, but she seems with this to be saying this is what we need now. And I just,
Roseanne, can you get I have to do it right this moment, but can you give me the contract?
I'm looking for it, yes.
okay, Greg, can you look into that?
Yeah, of course.
We've never paid for those IT equipment that's in that building, and they look for the time.
Which grant? The new grant? Fair improvement grant.
If I might add to the CBP conversation, I received an email a couple weeks ago from Officer Quintana, who's in the Jacksonville District office, wanting to, I guess he had gotten word of my appointment and wanted to coordinate on communication and what next steps are on that. I assured him that we would do that just as soon as the appointment was complete. So if it's okay, I'll reach out to Director Quintana and I think walk through some of these issues.
In the meantime, Patrick can look at that contract.
Yes, I can get a copy.
Because this is a little bit pushy. Okay. All right, Patrick, you got something you want to share with us?
Roseanne? can you pull
Yeah.
up? So this is a resolution to approve a grant that we've just been working on this week, so it's not in your packet. This is the draft document. The percentage showing you a final version, so this is for the DOT Public Transportation Grant Agreement for Port Pier improvements, where DOT is going to provide $204,294. Will provide a equal amount of matching funds through Nassau terminals, and I've included language in here that the adoption of the resolution agreeing to this is contingent upon Nassau terminal providing the local funding obligations required by the agreement on its behalf. So we've been quickly working with DOT on this, and it has all of the similar language we use for approving grants and the executing the documents and amendments to the agreement going forward. So Chairman Fullwood, to sign this, it needs the board's review and approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions the Chairman knows just about or more about it than I do. This is for the port pier improvements.
Chris, this is the one where they took funds from another grant.
Well, actually, this was a new grant that was awarded, not last summer, but the previous summer, but was never actually signed into a grant agreement. When it was contemplated, it was thinking about space off terminal, expanding our existing space outside of the formal terminal area. But we've asked them to not, in addition to actually presenting us with a contract so that the grant can get booked, to allow us to apply this money towards the fabric warehouse inside the terminal. So they've done that now. They've written the BTGA in such a fashion. They left it vague, but the purpose behind it is we're going to use this as part of the 750 to close the gap on the grants.
What is the amount of grant?
Just over 204,000.
When I look at that, does it have? What are the details of this grant, Chris?
Pardon?
Are there any details that go along with
Yeah,
this grant?
we have a draft, we have a grant agreement they've sent to us. I don't have it with me tonight.
All I have is the signature page.
So you need to
Maybe the situation, we need to bring this to the June meeting.
Kyle may have said that if we get the resolution, then he'll provide the grant agreement. It's possible he'll provide.
I think this is the one he said he didn't need until the first meeting in June.
Well, that's the latest.
Yeah, that's the latest, but we can approve it at the first meeting, because I have some questions about it, because I think some of the things in that grant are not things that, and why they're in there. I'm not, and I don't want to discuss them since we're going to put it off, but, and I'll discuss them a few later.
So you would hold this until June 8th.
I do.
Okay.
Talking about solar arrays.
Yeah, they threw, I was surprised to see that in there. But I think they probably have a program to encourage solar arrays on the warehouse roofs. We didn't ask for that, but I think it's a good idea. But the problem is we need all of the 204,000 to go towards the fabric building, so I don't see.
Also about existing gate facilities. I'm not sure how that's going to be accomplished.
Well, again, when they give you things you can spend it on, I have read this grant agreement now, you're refreshing my recollection. They don't allocate the money to any of the four things. They don't say you have to do a little on all four. It's just kind of a wide open, these are the things you can use it for. And we can ask Kyle why they decided to put more things in. I guess based on our past, they know we need flexibility. But, you know, the most pressing thing right now for this money is the fabric warehouse.
Yeah, that's part of it, redevelopment on Port Warehouse Complex, adding up to 100,000 square feet of warehouse space. So this would be in addition to the other grant we got?
Yeah, we have a 550 grant for warehouse space that's been sitting. So with the 550 and this 200, we've got our 750 grant package for this project.
Well, it's the gate thing I'm a little concerned with, and I want to explore that a little more.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. We don't need a grant necessarily to repair a gate. So I'm not sure why.
That wasn't what it said, repair gate.
Well, I think what Chris is saying is these are the things you can do with the grant funds. You don't have to do these. Then we'll get the full grant agreement.
Yeah.
Put up for the next.
So
The next
I'm not going to do this until we get the full grant agreement. But I'll talk to Kyle, I'll give him a call and see if we can get that agreement, and then we can approve it next week. Okay,
All right, I'll get it all put together for June 8th.
thank you very much.
Talk about House Bill 7049,
With that one,
the House Bill, that's the next. thing on here.
I didn't have one.
On other items.
So we go back to the agenda.
So,
Oh, the legal notice thing?
Right. I'll just try to give a quick summary. It's a bit convoluted, but
Yeah, it is.
we knew this legislation was pending. We knew it passed it. The governor signed it. However, the language in the law requires that there's a number of requirements. So I don't want it to seem like the one I'm talking about is the only one. There are a number of hoops you have to jump through in order to not publish in the paper, essentially. But for an entity like us, what it means is we have to use the county's website to publish our notices. My understanding of the legislative intent there is to make sure that there's a wide enough broadcast of the notice to the county at large. And it was originally written for counties, not for cities and not for special districts and not for entities like us. So the language says, if you want to publish your notices not in the paper, you've got to publish them on a county-owned and operated website. Nassau County has indicated to us, and I've spoken to the county attorney and I've spoken to the county manager, that they are not going to publish their notices on the website only. They are going to continue to publish in the paper, and they are not going to offer their website for other entities to publish their notices. So all of that essentially means business as usual for Rosanna and the rest of us for publishing our notices. So I just wanted to kind of close the loop on that.
See, I got a mixed message, because one of the things I asked him, or one of the things he talks about, is this one is a little bit more in-depth in general. Is it possible to operate the OHPA meetings in the same way Board of County Commission meetings are operated? Can OHPA meetings be live streamed on the clerk's system? These are things I asked, because we're getting mixed messages from some of the clerks. So I particularly asked Taco about this. Can OHPA meetings be posted on the clerk's website? Can OHPA use the clerk and BOCC equipment that is in the chamber? Can BOCC IT personnel support OHPA board meetings? Do we have the capacity to support another board? Can clerk staff support OHPA board meetings? Do they have the capacity to support other board meetings? What would be the cost to make this happen?
Well, that's different than these notices. That's doing streaming and
Right.
it was in no uncertain terms, I was informed they are not offering their website up for public notices of other entities. They are not going to exclusively notice on their website. They're still going to notice in the paper, but it just wasn't something they were going to do at this time. And that's after talking to Mr. Pope and Ms. May.
So we have to do what we have to do. All right. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, unfortunately, I'm going to miss the next meeting.
Yeah.
I'll be out of state, so I just wanted to let everybody, I won't be at the June 8th meeting. I may not ever come back.
Yes, you will. But we'll have your guidance and directions for that meeting, I'm sure. All right, any other things to be brought before the commission at this time? David, did you have something?
I'd like to sit down with each of you individually in the next week or so to kind of get to know each other a little bit, talk about direction, talk about some of the issues in front of us. So if y'all can start looking at your calendars, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, anytime. If any of those work for you, you can shoot me a text or an email or phone me or whatever. We'll get it on the calendar. We'll do it at the License Road office perhaps, or wherever's convenient for you guys.
Yep, I think that's necessary.
And I'll do the same with Chris.
All right, please let him know as soon as possible. Thanks for coming forward. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Eddie, this is the shortest meeting that we've had